All right, so far we have gone over Carnival Cruise Line sailing protocols. We have gone over Royal Caribbean's sailing protocols. And today we're going to go over MSC's sailing protocols. Going to get into those right after this. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. So, Carnival Cruise Line's test protocols. We went over those a few days ago. We know they are fully vaccinated cruises. You're going to wear a mask while in the cruise terminal, getting on and off the ship. But as far as on board the ship, since everybody is vaccinated, there's going to be no mask requirement. There's going to be no social distancing requirements. And testing will only be needed if the cruise lines feel it's necessary if somebody gets sick. Then you have Royal Caribbean's sailing protocols. Now they are going to allow both vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers on board their ship. And that does create a bit of a unique situation on the ship, because even the vaccinated will have to wear masks, their mask if they're in areas with the unvaccinated. And if you're unvaccinated, there's going to be some areas of the ship that are for vaccinated only passengers, and you're not going to be allowed entry into those areas. So in a way, that is kind of separating folks out and not necessarily giving everybody the same experience. Now, I do clearly understand that there are some people who chose not to be vaccinated, and if this is a result of that personal choice, then that is on them. I'm not arguing whether you should be vaccinated or you should be unvaccinated, just stating the facts. Okay, me personally, given a choice between Royal Caribbean and Carnival, right now I would sail on Carnival simply because I would not have to wear a mask because I am fully vaccinated. But that is a personal choice I made. I don't judge anybody for their choices. All right, so now let's jump into MSC Cruise Line's protocols. Now, theirs are different than Carnival, a little closer to Royal Caribbean, but they still have their own individual things going on here in their protocols, and we're going to go ahead and cover each one of those. So I'm going to jump here into the MSC website. All right, and this is directly from MSCCruiseUSA.com. We're going to go up here and go to latest updates. Then we're going to scroll down past this. And we're going to go to new protocols to keep you safe during your next cruise. We're going to click on that. All right, we have their health and safety measures. You can go to the website and read that if you desire. We're going to go down here and click the Bahamas and Caribbean cruises, since it is the U.S. protocols that we are interested in. We're going to scroll down. All right, what to know before you go for cruises departing from the U.S. Please carefully review our travel requirements, health and safety protocols, and frequently asked questions below. This will ensure you are fully prepared for your cruise, have a seamless embarkation experience, and know what to expect on board. MSC Cruises highly recommends guests are fully vaccinated in order to enjoy a superior experience while sailing with us. Guests who are not fully vaccinated will be required to purchase our travel insurance and COVID-19 protection services, and will be subject to more stringent protocols, which will be in place by the time you cruise. At the moment, these include, but are not limited to, wearing of masks, the required purchase of MSC-sponsored shore excursions in order to go ashore, and required testing upon embarkation and while on board. All right, please note that any guest, independent of vaccine, Please note that any guest, independent of vaccination or recovery status, who has COVID-19 symptoms and is confirmed positive while on board testing will be isolated on board and disembarked at the home port at the end of the cruise unless significant medical care is required before the end of the cruise, thus requiring emergency medical evacuation from the ship before the end of the cruise. These cases and close contact will be managed according to MSC Cruise Health and Safety Protocol. So just something to keep in mind, that if you are on a 7-day cruise and you test positive on the cruise ship, let's say on day 2, don't know why they would test you on day 2, but if you were to test positive on day 2, you could be isolated in your cabin for the next 5 days, particularly if you are not showing any severe symptoms requiring you to be evacuated from the ship. Just want to make sure I pointed that out. All right, so pre-cruise requirements. They do have 3 categories for each of these requirements. That is going to be the fully vaccinated, the not fully vaccinated, and COVID-19 recovered within 90 days. And we'll go into some more specific details about what that means, but essentially you have to have recovered within 90 days prior to your departure date. If it's 91 days or more, then you will be considered unvaccinated unless you have received the vaccine. All right, so let's start with fully vaccinated. Every fully vaccinated guest in the booking must provide a copy of your CDC vaccination card up to 48 hours prior to your cruise. If proof is not shown, you will be required to follow the not fully vaccinated guest requirements. A link will be sent for pre-cruise upload. In addition, vaccination cards must be shown at embarkation or boarding will be denied. MSC strongly recommends that guests have health insurance provided through their own insurance provider. You can purchase MSC Cruises travel insurance and COVID-19 protection services, or purchase travel insurance through your travel advisor or other insurance provider. And all 3 of these choices have these last 2 on here, which says the guest making the cruise booking will be required to accept the terms and conditions on behalf of all, with the consent of all persons named in the booking, and you must complete your web check-in at least 48 hours prior to your cruise. They all have that in there. So for the next ones, I'm going to skip that and just cover the main items. All right, so pre-cruise requirements for the not fully vaccinated. A not fully vaccinated guest is someone who has not fully received their vaccination at least 14 days prior to the cruise. Or 2, someone who is vaccinated but they're unwilling or unable to show their proof of vaccination. Or 3, someone who has recovered from COVID-19 within 90 days of the cruise and is unwilling or unable to show their required documentation. Or 4, someone recovered from COVID-19 more than 90 days from sailing. Now, you must get tested within 72 hours of departure and provide the negative PCR test result at embarkation. Guests are responsible for the test and for the cost. Any bookings that contain not fully vaccinated guests ages 12 and above are required to purchase MSC Cruises travel insurance and COVID-19 protection service. Any guest ages 12 and above that is not fully vaccinated on the sailing date or unable or unwilling to provide proof of vaccination or documentation of COVID-19 recovery will be considered not fully vaccinated. This must be purchased prior to making final payment on your booking. View description of coverage policies below. So if you are not fully vaccinated, do not intend to get fully vaccinated, or are not recovered from COVID-19 within the 90 days, MSC is going to require you to purchase their insurance and their COVID-19 protection. Not only that, you must have your test 72 hours prior to arrival at the port, and that cost will be on you as well. Pre-cruise requirements for COVID-19 recovered within 90 days of the cruise. You must provide a copy of your previous positive viral test result dated no more than 90 days prior to sailing, and a signed letter. A link will be sent to you pre-cruise to upload. In addition, please note that you must bring your test result copy with you at embarkation. If you are unable to provide the documentation required, you will need to follow the not fully vaccinated guest protocol, which includes a negative PCR test within 72 hours of sailing. MSC strongly recommends that guests have health insurance provided through their own insurance provider. Purchase MSC Cruises travel insurance and COVID-19 protection services, or purchase travel insurance through your travel advisor or other insurance provider. All right, so that is a question I have actually had multiple times, which is, what if I have had COVID-19, I have recovered, what status do I fall in? Well, now MSC is answering that question. But you must have recovered from it within 90 days of embarkation. And of course, you have to be able to provide documentation that it happened. If it was 91 days or more that you have recovered from COVID-19 prior to embarkation, then you will be considered unvaccinated unless you get the COVID-19 vaccination shots. Not sure if that is the answer that you were looking for, but this is the one that MSC is providing for you, at least in regards to them. All right, next we have terminal and embarkation requirements. Again, we will start with the fully vaccinated. You will be required to take a rapid antigen test at the pier prior to embarkation, covered by MSC Cruises, and you must test negative. This is for fully vaccinated. If you test positive, you will be denied boarding along with any not fully vaccinated members of your traveling party. If anyone in your traveling party is fully vaccinated and non-symptomatic, they will be permitted to board. Your vaccination card must be shown at embarkation, or else boarding will be denied. And just like last time, the last category here is on all three of them, but your cruise ticket will include a set arrival time. Please follow the policy and arrive at your designated time. Otherwise, you may be asked to wait outside until your embarkation time. All right, next is the not fully vaccinated. You will be required to take a rapid antigen test at the pier prior to embarkation, covered by MSC Cruises, and test negative. If you test positive, you will be denied boarding, along with any not fully vaccinated members of your traveling party. If anyone in your traveling party is fully vaccinated and non-symptomatic, they will be permitted to board. Your negative PCR test result must be shown at embarkation, or boarding will be denied. So for embarkation, it is pretty much the same across the board, whether you are vaccinated, not vaccinated, or you are recovered from COVID-19. Everybody is taking the rapid antigen test prior to boarding the ship. If you test positive, regardless of your status, you will be denied boarding. Anybody in your travel party who is not fully vaccinated will be denied boarding. Only the fully vaccinated in your travel party who are asymptomatic will still be allowed to board the ship. All right, next category is going to be onboard, ashore, and disembarkation requirements. For all three categories, they all have the same requirement that if you become symptomatic during your cruise, you will be required to take a PCR test on board, and that is covered by MSC Cruises. Now, for the fully vaccinated, you are free to go ashore in each port of call, including our exclusive private island, or enjoy one of the many offered ashore excursions. Also, for the fully vaccinated, you will be required to wear a mask throughout the cruise while indoors and in public areas. Mask use is not required outdoors. Where social distancing is not possible outdoors, mask use is recommended for all guests. So just like Royal Caribbean, because you are mixing the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated, if you are indoors, in public areas, no matter what your vaccination status, you must still wear the mask. So that is something to keep in mind if you are planning to book an MSC cruise and you are fully vaccinated. There is still going to be a masking requirement on board. Okay, for the not fully vaccinated, you will be required to wear a mask throughout the cruise while indoors and in public areas. Mask use is not required outdoors, but is recommended for unvaccinated guests. Where social distancing is not possible outdoors, mask use is recommended for all guests. On our exclusive private island, you can spend the day as you wish, or you may purchase one of the many offered shore excursions. On all other ports of call, you will not be allowed to go ashore unless you purchase a shore excursion through MSC Cruises. This is to help ensure everyone is following the same health and safety protocols. For cruises 5 nights or longer, you will be required to take a rapid antigen test within 24 hours of disembarkation. It is paid for by MSC Cruises. If you test positive, you and your traveling party will be quarantined and will be required to follow our health and safety procedures. If anyone in your traveling party is fully vaccinated and non-symptomatic, they will not need to quarantine. And finally, COVID-19 recovered within 90 days of the cruise. You are free to go ashore in each port of call, including our private island, or enjoy one of the many offered shore excursions. You will be required to wear a mask throughout the cruise while indoors and in public areas. Mask use is not required outdoors, but is recommended for unvaccinated guests. Where social distancing is not possible outdoors, mask use is recommended for all guests. So again, no matter what your vaccination status is, if you are indoors on board the cruise ship, other than of course your cabin or while sitting down to eat or drink, you are going to be wearing a mask. Now, the vaccinated and the COVID-19 recovered within 90 days both have the options to get off in ports of call and do their own thing, while the unvaccinated will be restricted to MSC shore excursions only. So if you are not vaccinated and like to get off and wander around the port on your own and kind of do your own thing, then this MSC protocols probably are not for you. And that is MSC's current sailing protocols for sailings here out of the United States. So what do you think? To me, they are pretty much comparable to Royal Caribbean's, with the few exceptions of they are not going to isolate certain areas for vaccinated only, where you can be indoors and not wear a mask. Instead, it's just MSC is going to be completely mingled together, both vaccinated and unvaccinated at the same time, which means that everybody is wearing a mask pretty much the entire time you are indoors on board the ship. So you're really going to have to ask yourself, how important is it to cruise without wearing a mask? Again, for me personally, I am not looking forward to taking a cruise while wearing a mask. Just not my first priority, and it is definitely not my first pick. Now, don't get me wrong. If it was a requirement for me to wear a mask in order to get on a cruise ship next week, I'll wear the mask. That's how much I want to cruise. But if I have a choice right now, Carnival Cruise Lines, at least at this point, is looking like one of the best bets for the 3 cruise lines that we have covered so far: Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and now MSC Cruises. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below. What do y'all think about these test protocols? Is this the kind of cruise you would want to go on based on what we just went over? Or would you prefer a different cruise line with a different set of protocols? Let me know what you think. All right, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor, let's give it a thumbs up. Have yourself a great day, and we will see you out on the high seas.